for platforms like Meta to be more determined to take journalists off their platform than they are criminals means they've got a real moral problem at the centre of that company, and it can't continue.
Why is the government talking about Meta taking journalists off their platform? Well, it all goes back to a piece of legislation that was passed by the Morrison government. It was called the Media Bargaining Code, and long story short, it was designed to regulate the relationship between news publishers and big tech companies here in Australia like Meta and Google. The legislation was highly contentious and at one point even led to Facebook removing news off its platform for a short period.
Banning every Australian news site from the social media platform.
This is outrageous and unacceptable.
Unnecessary, heavy-handed.
Ultimately though, Meta and Google came to a voluntary agreement. That saw both of those tech companies pay millions of dollars to news companies on the basis that the media was bringing eyeballs to their platforms and therefore they should be compensated for that. So for the last couple of years, mostly bigger news companies in Australia, so think News Corp, Channel 9, those types of players, they've been getting millions of dollars and hiring heaps of journos with that money. But then, earlier this year, we found out that Meta wasn't going to be renewing those deals. And so that brings us to now, with the government now figuring out what to do next. If they force Meta to come back to the negotiating table, there's a fancy term for that, it's called designation, there are fears it will lead to the same outcome as what's happened in Canada, which is Meta deciding to pull all news off its platform. So that's why the government is getting a bit prickly with Meta, with Assistant Treasurer Stephen Jones, who is one of two people ultimately responsible for the decision of what to do next, saying that Meta is not above the law. And so hopefully that provides you with a little bit of context for the next time that the Daily Aus, or really any news publisher on social media, asks you to sign up to a newsletter. That's our attempt to make sure we can continue to give you the news, even if we're not on here anymore.